Hey folks, LA Little here, TA today. I'm going to do a follow-up to that FANGS video that I did last, what was it, probably about a week and a half ago. We were looking at the FANGS and saying, okay, you know, this market's trying to fall out of bed, you know, where would we short on the bounce? And the question was, you know, which of these look best if we're going to short any of them? And at the time, you know, we said, okay, the two that look the best in terms of a short, Amazon, Google. You'd want to buy Apple, you'd want to buy NVDA. Tesla looked like a buy. Microsoft was kind of on the fence. Meta was not something I'd short, etc. Anyway, you can go back and look at the video. I'll stick the link in the video, or I'll have a link here at the end of the video here. But before I get into it, let me remind you, you know, comments welcome. If you want to share this with somebody, that'd be great. Hit the subscribe, hit the likes, you know, if you like what you see, and hopefully we'll get this out to a few more people as we continue to do these series. So here's the FANGs. You know, when you look at this, you know, the first thing you got to do is you got to ask yourself, you know, what's the overall trend? The overall trend is just bullish. I mean, bullish. This was bearish here, right? This is bullish. And you can see how they've totally recovered this so far. So this just looks like a dip down like this one that potentially can just go straight up. Now, if we go back and look at this, right, this little area here, notice how it came back strong and then it continued to sell off. Well, you can certainly get that here. You know, and if you look forward, you know, the whole reason for looking at shorts potentially here, there's probably better shorts elsewhere. I was using the FANGs as an example. You know, am I going to short something? Am I going to short these stocks? Not unless I get a perfect setup. I mean, let's be honest. These have been the strongest stocks in the market. Why would you short these? So it's a good example of how to short more so than, you know, take these as a short. But beside that, you know, as I said, we actually bought these on that dip. Matter of fact, I can show you here. Here's the buys that we made on that dip. CRDO, AVGO, NVDA. It's just 33, 22, 20. You know, what, week and a half, 2 weeks? You make a huge profit. So you can, you know, you trade what's in front of you. You don't get stuck in something and say, you know, this is what I have to do. You do what you need to do in terms of what the market offers you, and other than that, you just don't mess with it, right? So anyway, the point is, this thing still could drop. This is August. We need reset, retest, regens on the weekly time frames. That's here. We need those to fail. So in other words, we need to come back into a swing point high and fail. Well, that ain't going to happen here. You know, this one is just simply not going to happen because the bulk of the things that make up FANGs way too strong, and you've never been able to set. I mean, just look at this. You've never been able to set a swing point high anywhere on this move up. That is a sign of a very strong market, right? You'd have to come all the way back to this one and break it. It's just probably not going to happen. So this is going to get more and more stretched. Now, some of the stocks within this will probably reset, and some have already reset. And that's the way the market works. Usually the indexes are the last ones to reset. So going back to the FANGs, what do you get? You get a nice big push back to the top side. It's been a straight up move. What are you doing now? You're coming into areas that's going to be more difficult. You got a swing point high here. I expect they're going to test this. Just like if you look on the indexes, it looks exactly the same, right? They're going to test those swing point highs, and that's where you're going to find out whether this market is going to continue to straight up move or not. If you look here, you're not going to have the volume on the test. Here's the line, right? Nowhere close. And so what you're probably going to see is you're going to see it get over this, potentially come back under it. If it is, it's a test failure, and that says it's going to retrace. And that's your first clue that you're going to get a retrace. If you wanted to short something, whether it's these stocks or something else, you would want to do it on such a move. You'd also want to do it, the ideal move, if it's set up, would be you get the bounce, right? You get the test failure, you get a retrace, and you wait and you see what the retrace looks like. If it's deep, comes back up, you may get another chance to set up the short on that next move up on a failure, right? Because that's the best case, where you have your back against the wall. But in today's market, as strong as this market is, this is going to be a hard setup to take if it happens. You're going to want to buy a dip versus sell the retrace. And that's just the way this market is set up, because it's a V-shaped move, right? This is definitely a V-shaped move. If it closes over here, it's going to complete the V, and you're in a bullish market again. So anyway, let's go on. The two I talked about was Amazon. I'm gonna focus on the two I talked about in terms of short, and then we'll just look at the others that I said were probably buys. Here's Amazon. Amazon's coming up to do exactly what we thought in terms of where you might want to short it, right? It's right at that price point almost. These are the two swing point that were broken. These are the retest regions bearish. This is your top right here. Your stop goes right up there. So you try to get it as close as you can into this area. And what are you shooting for? The way this has come back up and the volumes that are here, you can't expect more than here to here now. Now you do the math. Is it worth it or not? Maybe it's 2 to 1 or so. It's not a great short. I'd probably be looking at other stocks versus this one, but that's the short setup, and the short setup is there. It's just not going to have a lot of reward with it. Google was the other one. If we go to Google and we do the same thing on it, if you remember here, I was saying, you're probably not going to get the short setup because the short setup is going to be up in this area. You have to respect that it could get over this. That's where you have to put your stop, and you want to try to short it as close as you can to this price point. Look where it is. Not even close. It's not going to give you the setup. And so do you want to short it? No, because you can't. What's it going to do? It's probably going to come back into maybe this support zone you see here. So is there a weak stock? Yeah. Is it one I want to buy? No. There's definitely ones to buy in this group, but that's not it. Going to the ones that we said were buys. Apple. Here's Apple. Apple definitely was a buy. It was a buy that morning. I didn't have it on my cue card as the one to buy, but it definitely was a buy. We talked about it then. Swing point highs here, here, and here. You were coming into them. That was the buy, and look where it is. The next one was Meta. Meta, I said, it topped out. It's not one I would short, though, and the reason for it was too strong, and I expected it would get back to the highs. Where's it at? Back to the highs. Let's go to the next one, Microsoft. Now, Microsoft was more iffy. Yes, it could be a short. We actually tried to trade this long, kind of screwed up the buy on the site, but it was a decent bounce, but not as strong. You can see it's not as strong, and that's because it was potentially a short on a bounce, not one of the better ones, and we didn't recommend it as one of the better ones. NVDA we thought would be very strong. Earnings coming up. This was we actually bought this one, as I said, and we've already flipped it, and it's back up here. You got earnings coming out. I imagine this thing is going to hold this area. Matter of fact, if you wanted to take a chance in front of the earnings, that would be the place to buy it. I'm not the one who buys in front of earnings unless there's a good reason, but that NVIDIA is strong. And let's look at Tesla. Tesla also I thought was a buy at the point. Given that it come into here, was holding this retest regen and did hold it, coming into 2 swing point highs. Now it was less than 6 bars. Less than 6 bars, you don't have nearly as good a chance as you do if it's over 6 bars in terms of your probabilities. But still, it was a decent a decent buy, and it's got a decent bounce. But this is going to take long. If you go out and look at it here, this thing has been trading sideways for a long time. At some point, this is going to be a great buy again. I don't know where it is, but if you're into all the inverse head and shoulders, one could say this is what's taking place now. Eventually you get a big move, from the width of this to that and double it up to there or wherever. Not a bad position, but you got to time these kinds of stuff because you're buying. These are not momentum trades. You're trying to catch a bottom type trade, and those are a lot harder. That's the stocks. Market's strong. This V-shaped moves, when you get them like we're getting them here, it's not something you want to short into. more than likely you get a little bit of a pullback and it's going to try and make another run higher. And if that fails, then things change. But we have to see, and I'm not going to force trades when I don't have to. That's it for today. Have a great one. Stay safe. See you next time.